Disappearance of Matthew Johnson, a Utah father and husband, and the arrest of his wealthy wife, Jennifer Gledhill, for first-degree murder.
Some families look picture perfect from the outside. The big house, the smiling Christmas cards. That were totally fine, Instagram aesthetic. But sometimes, all of that is just stage lighting. And what happens behind closed doors can be darker than anyone's ready to believe. This story? Yeah, it's one of those. So before we step in, go ahead and subscribe to the Crime Chapter, because the world you're about to walk into isn't the one those pictures showed. Her name was Jennifer Gledhill, a mom, a nurse, soft voice, warm smile, the type of woman people instantly trusted. Then there was Matthew Johnson, 51. A Green Beret with the U.S. Army's 19th Special Forces Group. Disciplined, focused, steady. He was the guy people leaned on. The guy who didn't fall apart. The solid one. They lived in $1 million home in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. 3 kids. Idyllic neighborhood. Holiday parties. Perfect lawn. The whole catalog perfect life. People looked at them and said, they've got it figured out. But perfection is fragile. And behind it, something was rotting. The cracks showed up quietly. Late night work shifts that didn't line up. Phone calls that ended the second someone walked in. Whispers behind closed doors. Arguments buried under fake smiles. Matthew noticed. Of course he noticed. But he trusted her. He wanted to trust her. Meanwhile, Jennifer wasn't falling apart. She was pulling away. Not emotionally. Not romantically. Strategically, like someone slowly stepping out of a life. They already decided it was over. But here's the thing. She didn't leave. She didn't ask for divorce. She didn't try to talk it out. She performed. Happy wife. Happy mom. Family game nights. Selfies with the kids. Smiling at cookouts. But the smile, it wasn't reaching her eyes anymore. People said it was stress. Work burnout. Life being a lot. They didn't know she was hiding something. Something huge. Something lethal. Something that would take Matthew's life and leave 3 kids without either parent to raise them. Everything shifts with one call. 11:47 p.m. A call that should have disappeared. Should have been private. Should have never been heard by anyone else. But it was recorded. And what Jennifer said on that line, that was the moment the mask fell off. Completely. But to understand that call, you have to understand who Jennifer had become and why she made the choice she did. Because this wasn't heartbreak. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't emotional. This was cold, calculated, deliberate. This wasn't a moment of rage. It was a decision. Some stories fall apart slow, piece by piece. But this one, it cracked in silence, behind a locked bedroom door, and nobody outside had a clue. From the outside, Matthew and Jennifer looked like the perfect family. But behind that pretty house, something dark was growing. And the scariest part? It didn't start with violence. It started with loneliness. Matthew spent years in the military, deployments, trainings, months away at a time. He missed birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas mornings. Not because he didn't care, but because he thought he was doing the right thing. Providing, protecting, serving. While he was gone, Jennifer was on her own. 3 kids. Long shifts at the hospital. 0 sleep. Stress and that slow-burning resentment that doesn't explode. It just chips away, like a hairline crack spreading across glass. Then someone walked into Jennifer's life who actually saw her. A co-worker. A friend. Someone who listened when Matthew couldn't. At first, the messages were harmless. Work talk, venting, dumb jokes. Then harmless turned personal. Personal turned emotional. Emotional turned into an affair. By the time Matthew came home from deployment, Jennifer wasn't the woman he'd left. She was distant, cold, short with him. He tried to patch it. Date nights, talking more, helping with the kids. But it was like trying to glue back a vase that was already shattered. What he didn't know, Jennifer wasn't just cheating. She was planning a new life. A life without him. She started Googling divorce laws in Utah, child custody outcomes, spousal support. And here's the chilling bit. life insurance payouts. Matthew had a hefty life insurance policy through the military. Plenty to take care of the kids. Plenty to make sure Jennifer would be comfortable. But divorce? Divorce meant sharing. Court battles. A messy fight. Looking like the bad guy. Jennifer didn't want that. She wanted a clean slate. No custody wars. No courtroom drama. No ruined reputation. Just freedom. So she rewrote the story. To neighbors, Matthew was controlling. To friends, he was emotionally checked out. To her co-worker, the guy she was seeing, she said the marriage was already over. Layer by layer, she built a narrative so that if something happened, people would say, yeah, they were having problems. Then one night everything snapped. It was late. The kids were asleep. The house was quiet. They got into one of those fights where a lifetime of things unsaid explodes all at once. But what happened next wasn't a heat-of-the-moment thing. It wasn't impulsive. It was calculated. Cold. Methodical. Step by step. Because Jennifer had already decided. And Matthew Johnson, the veteran, the dad, the man who trusted his wife, had no clue the person standing across from him was about to make sure he'd never see another morning. Most crimes have chaos. Screaming. Panic. A moment where everything just blows up. But this one was quiet. Too quiet. It was late, almost midnight. The kids were knocked out in their rooms. The house was dark except for a hallway nightlight, flickering like it couldn't decide if it wanted to stay alive or just give up. Matthew was sitting on the edge of the bed. Tired. Done. He had tried God. He had tried to save this marriage. But Jennifer wasn't arguing to fix anything. She was arguing to end something. The conversation went from cold to mean, from raised voices to words sharp enough to cut skin. And then, it just stopped. Jennifer walked out of the room. No door slam. No dramatic exit. Just walked out. Matthew didn't think much of it. Maybe she needed air. Maybe she needed space. He sat there, breathing slow, worn down to the bone. Less than 3 minutes later, she came back. But she didn't come back alone. She brought something with her. Something that changes everything in a single second. A gun. This wasn't panic. This wasn't heat-of-the-moment anger. This was planned. Jennifer stood in the doorway. The same woman he had proposed to. The same woman he held as they named their babies. The same woman he trusted with everything he loved while he served overseas. Matthew looked up, and when he saw the gun, he didn't scream. He didn't run. He just said one word. Jen. A question. A plea. A disbelief that the person he built a life with was now pointing a weapon straight at him. No one knows what her final words were. Maybe there weren't any. Maybe the silence said it all. The shot cracked through the house. One sound. One moment. Matthew fell back onto the bed. No second chances. No explanation. No time to even understand. He was gone. But here's where it gets colder. Jennifer didn't panic. She didn't scream. She didn't freeze. She switched roles. She picked up her phone, dialed 911, and her voice was steady. Someone broke into our house. They shot my husband. The script was already written. She went from wife to widow in under 60 seconds. But lies? Lies fall apart real fast. When police arrived, something was off. No forced entry. No broken locks. No struggle. No signs of a robbery. No panic in her voice. No tears. The neighbors didn't hear a car. The kids didn't wake up. Everything looked too perfect. Too staged. And then one detective said it. If this was a break-in, why does it look like the shooter knew exactly where Matthew would be? From that moment, Jennifer wasn't just a grieving wife anymore. She was the suspect. And what investigators uncovered next was darker than just an affair. The investigation moved fast. Once the 911 call ended, cops were already combing through the Gledhill house. And the more they looked, the more cracks started showing in Jennifer's story. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. The kids were asleep, untouched. Everything was too clean, too neat. Detectives started connecting the dots. Matthew Johnson wasn't just a husband. He was a military man. Disciplined. Organized. Chaos didn't just quietly happen in his life. The first red flag? The gun. Where had it come from? Jennifer claimed self-defense, but the detectives weren't buying it. The trajectory, the angle, the powder residue. Everything screamed close range. Deliberate. Planned. Then came the texts. The emails. The notes. Jennifer had been living a double life. Long before the shooting, she had mapped out, step by step, how to cover her tracks. And the more the investigators dug, the more it got chilling. Friends, family, neighbors, everyone had seen a smiling, loving mother. But behind closed doors, Jennifer was plotting, calculating, measuring every single move. Her affair? It wasn't just a secret fling. It was her escape plan. A new life without Matthew. Without custody battles. Without consequences, if she could just make it look like self-defense. When detectives finally confronted Jennifer, she stayed ice cold. Too calm. Every answer rehearsed. Tone steady. No crying. No panic. Just empty. One piece of evidence stood out. The 11:47 p.m. phone call. Her words were flat. Cold. Monotone. It wasn't panic. It was someone who had already decided how this night would end. The trial? It blew up nationally. Media dissected every detail. People couldn't wrap their heads around how a nurse and mom of 3 could orchestrate the death of a decorated Green Beret without a single messy, impulsive moment. The kids, left without a dad. And now, facing a world where their mom was also a criminal. The psychological impact? Lifelong. Jennifer was found guilty. Not because she lost it. Not a moment of passion. Her actions were deliberate, calculated, merciless. This case sent shockwaves far beyond Utah. A grim reminder, appearances deceive. Someone you trust could hide darkness so complete, so absolute, it feels impossible. So what drives someone to betray everything? Family, love, reputation, for freedom? For desire? For control? In the end, Jennifer Gledhill's story isn't just murder. It's obsession, deceit, and the terrifying power of planning something cold-blooded while wearing a mask of normalcy. So the next time you scroll past a smiling family photo online, remember this. Sometimes the happiest-looking families hide the darkest secrets. Subscribe to the Crime Chapter for more stories like this, because the world needs to see what's really beneath the surface, before it's too late.